Well, for those of you who were here last week, we'll be continuing our discussion on the effect of feelings on our life and the effect they have had on giving us illusions, directions. Those of you who weren't here, we were continuing on our journey about how one can really completely surrender into choiceless acceptance and into a space of unconditional love with life, and in doing so, allow themselves to become the intuitive that we all are within us. I can only imagine, for the first time, if you heard that, about feelings and about the original wake-up call of what feelings are, what they do, how they've been affecting you, and how they've really been creating reactions and the illusion of choice in your life in a way that you might not have been aware of. What I'd like to spend tonight talking about in terms of feelings is just how strongly our history with feelings and the effect that feelings have had on our psyche really have in causing us in many ways to avoid speaking the truth, hearing it, following it, and in many ways not to condemn them in any way, because we never want to suppress them, but we do want to be open to a different way of being with life that isn't completely guided or motivated or directed by them, because they are not our highest sense of guidance. It's simply realizing that. It is not to say that they are not valuable, that they have not taught us, or that they do not have a place in our life in some way, but they are not our highest guiding tool. How many times have you not said something that you knew was correct or you knew was truthful because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you don't like my shirt.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your shirt's fine.
Okay. So you should say it. You should say it. Say what you know to be the truth about a situation. We are here to tell each other from a deepest space of knowing the truth to each other. This is not to say that someone may not disagree with that, or it might not cause a reaction. But if your deepest intention, which is one of the many, many reasons why we're all embracing, getting to this intuitive truth within us, is so that we can be the same person all the time. So that we can be that truth for ourselves and for other people who are not only looking for it, but who are looking to be healed by it. We cannot be that truth if we are deciding when or when not we're going to be it based on feelings. As we began to talk about it last time, and we bring it up again, there is an expectation for specific feelings to be exhibited in specific situations. And as you move into this higher space of intuition, and you are not reactive anymore to the point where you don't feel emotionally triggered to have these feelings in these situations, you are going to confront some unusual reactions from other people. A simple example is, let's talk about a real good one again that I like to use because it's so strong, is in a death situation. There's an expectation of grieving and sadness. And in an emotionally vulnerable situation such as that, it is very difficult to tell the truth. Why? Because people are emotionally distraught. And there is an unconscious pattern in all of us that if someone is already emotionally upset, Don't say anything that's going to what?
Make it worse.
Make it worse. See, and I love that. Make it worse. That's assuming that the emotional space they're in already is what? Good or bad?
Bad.
Bad. And it's bad based on the fact that they're experiencing in this situation what emotion? Grief. Isn't that twisted? How we are all completely on the same distorted page? How we were all walking right off that cliff. So now we've labeled what emotional expression as a bad situation? Grief, right? Grief is beautiful. Grief is one of the many expressions of a misunderstanding of an incident in life where we feel loss. And so we're grieving that loss. That's an intuitive interpretation of emotional expression. Makes a lot more sense than just looking at the emotional expression itself, doesn't it? When you can see emotion from an intuitive standpoint, it's beautiful. So that way, when you're in that situation as more of an intuitive and you're looking at someone going through an emotional experience, you are not withdrawing the truth from that person because you see them going through a bad emotion such as grief and loss. And therefore, their emotional experience is not your burden to fix, to help, to make better. It's fine. In that space of non-judgment, because suggesting that grief is a negative emotion you don't want to make worse, and we'll get into this as we get into further teachings, but that is definitely a judgment. You are judging them in their moment of emotional expression. And then deciding how you should or shouldn't be based on that judgment. Intuitively, embracing grief unconditionally as a beautiful emotional expression, not taking responsibility for changing that grief, the most powerful thing to do in that situation is to smile, to embrace them, and to say what? To be love, to be peace, to be consciousness, to be in that space with these states of being, and just embrace them with that intention in your heart. That is the most powerful thing you can do. You are making no effort at expressing anything. And let's face it, what do they really want to hear from you? Nothing.
I want you to listen.
That's it. They want you to listen, and they just want you to be. Now, it's neither right nor wrong, but I find that in most extremely traumatic emotional situations, people become extremely traumatized and emotional. And that it does nothing more than point as a testimony to what I'm teaching you. They are releasing all unprocessed emotions that they've never dealt with in that situation. And it's a safe place to do it. They can cry for no reason at a funeral and no one's going to think anything of it. They are completely free to express any grief over anything in their life. I'm just using that as an example. But it can be over anything. Someone's in the hospital. It's not that there's not a level of compassion, but most instinctual emotional reaction is really quite selfishly driven. It's all about them. It's all about them. Which is, it's okay, it's natural, there's no criticism on it, but until you get clear of all these emotional patterns that you've had in you for so long, it's really not about the other person. Because when it's about the other person completely, all you are is present. Being open to guidance, which most of the time is say nothing. So that was one situation where we start directing our feelings on what don't we want to do. We don't want to make it worse, all right? We don't want to make it worse. And and I think all of us have been kids and have parents, and obviously, or we wouldn't be kids. We wouldn't, have parents. If we, wouldn't be kids, we wouldn't have parents. And all of us have had authorities in our lives. And one of the other big ones is we don't want to upset them. We don't want to aggravate them. We don't want to get anybody mad at us. Do you realize I don't want to make it worse and I don't want to get anybody mad at me? How much truth that eliminates from a possible situation? How much of an inability that leaves you to tell the truth when those two things are at stake? Don't want to make it worse, don't want to aggravate anybody. Another one, don't want to be rejected, don't want them not to like me. Now, these are all natural things, but as we aspire to higher levels of intuitive truth, I tell you honestly, I don't really care if anyone likes me or not. That is not a concern in my daily activities. That's not a concern in my life. I am what I am. I have come to a place of complete love and acceptance with that. That's game over. I don't get into conversations with people wondering what I might say that might upset them or what I shouldn't say that could cause a problem. I am authentic to that truth in every moment of my life. Am I compassionate to what someone's going through? Of course. Is there wisdom in me because I'm connected in this way? Of course. But because there's no real emotion driving me, I find myself very, very, very infrequently saying something that I would regret or think is inappropriate. Not because I'm trying not to, but because I'm not trying not to. There's a lot of different ways and different teachings on how to become conscious and how to become enlightened and how to embrace oneness with God and all that. And I'm telling you, I'm just trying to teach it to you so it's as easy as possible. I don't want anyone trying to do this. I don't want anyone working at it. I want you just being with life and letting life show you what lessons you need to learn and come to peace with, accepting them, embracing them, loving life unconditionally, being with life unconditionally, experiencing it freely, and letting that free experience be what heals you and brings you to a space of oneness and enlightenment. I want this path towards intuitiveness to become effortless. And that's why the phrasing I use is getting out of your own way. If you just get out of your own way, it happens. If you're not trying to make it happen, making it happen, trying to make it happen, it'll happen. That might not happen as fast as you like. It might not happen in the way you like, but it will happen the way it's supposed to. And one of the many ways that we stop ourselves from having the experience is because of these emotional threats that we face. Okay. I'm going to tell you a personal story because I love to do that because my life is all about sharing my life with everybody else. I was, and Anne can attest to this. She has witnessed it. I can't believe I want to share this one. This is one of my favorites. One of my biggest emotional patterns to let go of, okay, was all about breaking up with people. I could never break up with people. I could just never break up with people. I would suffer endlessly in relationships because I just couldn't break up. Because I just never wanted to hurt anyone's feelings. I never wanted to be seen as a bad guy. So I would be a total idiot to avoid looking like a bad guy. And I would stay in relationships far too long. and they would hang on me, and they would draw on me. And I would try and keep everybody around. And I would want to keep everybody around. Come on, everyone can make it, everyone can make it. And let me save you all so much suffering, okay? If you're going to embrace being intuitive and you're going to embrace surrendering and you don't get to choose who's going to come along. You don't get to invite anybody. You don't get to decide whether someone's going to stay with you or not. It's an individual journey that you make collectively. So if you're in this space and you're in this space of unconditional acceptance with somebody and they're not into this, they're not into living their life this way, it's totally great. Just love them how they are. But break up with the idea that you have to bring them along. And there will be some people as you move forward that you are just naturally incompatible with. End those relationships. Just end them. Not out of harshness, not with a negative. There's nothing wrong. You're not ending this relationship because there's anything wrong. You're ending the relationship because it's just not a compatible relationship anymore. It's taking too much energy to make it work. You're trying too hard. You're putting too much effort into it. You know what I mean? I mean, God bless talking things out, but when it never ends, end it. It shouldn't be that hard. You're trying to make something work that doesn't work. You've got to let go. And sometimes it takes the person of the highest consciousness to say, you know what? This just isn't working anymore. It did, but it isn't. So we need to let this go. Learn how to break up. Learn how to do that. Because there are many people that are going to be in your life for many different reasons, and very few of them are meant to be in your life forever. In fact, at some point, none of them. So learn how to break up. And then when you get really good at breaking up, what it led me to is, I'm breaking up in every moment. At the end of every moment, I'm completely broken up. I'm not attached. I don't kid myself in believing that everything's going to be here in the next moment. I completely am in the moment, and then I break up with the moment. So that if anything from that moment is not in the moment going forward, I'm not grieving. I'm not upset, I'm not hanging on, I'm not yearning, I'm not wanting. As the Buddha said, I'm not clinging. Okay? But a big reason we don't do that is because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, we don't want to be the bad guy. But let's face it. How many of us know when we need to break up? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of hands. I mean, and a lot of them are I'm not going to do that yet. But a lot of us know. Well, how many of us have ever broken up with somebody?
I know.
Yeah. And how many of us have allowed that to be a good feeling yet? How many of us allowed that to be a good feeling yet? Not as many of us, but a lot of us. Don't make it a bad thing. Okay? Like, don't make grief a bad thing. And these will all these emotions will become not bad things when you're not emotional. When you're intuitive. That's one of the many, many benefits of it. So again, we can't, when we're emotional, we cannot speak the truth because we might make someone angry, we might make something worse, we might hurt someone's feelings, we might be the bad guy. They're emotionally unstable, they're really stressed out right now, now is not a good time. I mean, they're endless, aren't they, everybody? So, excuse my French, but when the hell is the right time to tell the truth? And this is the practicality that I pragmatically faced. If we're going to let feelings decide, when is the right time? Because there's always something happening. There's always a reason emotionally not to. And I started really looking at relationships and interaction and really started saying, man, how much of what we're doing with other people is really authentic? How much of it is just they're feeling this way, I'm feeling this way. They're feeling this way, I'm feeling this way. They're feeling this way, I'm feeling this way. What are we... It's like, it was an exaggerated form of waving. If someone waves, you wave back. So it wasn't, I want you to understand that, I have to repeat this because I know some of you are very sensitive. I'm not down on feelings. I just, in my highest sense of knowing, know they are not the most accurate, enlightened way to guide us through the field of life. And I don't think any of you who have heard me talk last time or this time or last time and this time can really put up much of an argument to what I'm saying. Can you?
No.
That's the big point I want to make, and I want to give examples so we really all can go, oh, no big deal if I'm having them, but I want to look past them. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about, how do you look past them? How do you get past them? The biggest way you get past emotions is you commit to the truth. Not the truth that you're feeling, but the truth that you know. The truth that you know, I'm going to go back to it because we talked about the first one. If you're not here, I'm a repeater. I'll bring it back in for you. The truth that all intuitives, everyone who's embracing a level of intuitive, the fundamental truth is that life is good. Life is a good experience. It's a good thing that we're here doing this. There's meaning, there's purpose in it. It's a good thing. And when you live intuitively, you accept the fact that everybody in one form or another lives forever. In one form or another. And life is an eternal process. And these two things are important because a lot of these emotional decisions are based in what I'll call a temporal field. They're based on what's the best thing to do now. And if you look at, and I want to bring this, I want you all to see this because remember we talked about last time about emotions and their connection to addiction? Mm-hmm. And how powerful that was to see that emotions, the emotional reaction you were having around a situation allowed you to be tied to physical addictions that were present in that same space at that time and how it wasn't just a coincidence, but it was kind of a inevitability. This is the same type of thing. If we let ourselves make decisions from a temporal space, we then give ourselves another excuse to not tell the truth. I was in a wonderful, I had a rare opportunity on Friday, and I went out to a place I have out in Ashtabula where I can just be alone in the country and I can just sit and look at the water. And I had an amazing line came through, and I'm going to talk more about it at one point, but I just want to bring it in as a reference to the temporal field. And it's called, the header will be called The Necessary Illusion. Time. Time is a necessary illusion. It's allowed to be in our creation. It's still in the highest good because we need a reason to motivate ourselves to do things still. The general field of consciousness, and let's just say on this planet, is such that without time, we wouldn't naturally motivate ourselves in a higher space of consciousness. We're not conscious enough yet as a whole to do it without time. So it's a necessary illusion. And those of you who have come to see me, know that for me that illusion really doesn't exist anymore. It's fun when I'm on time. But
If you're not, it doesn't matter.
if I'm not, it doesn't matter. I do my best to be on time. For me, time is a language that I speak. It is not a defining field in my life. It's a language. It's a way to communicate with other people in this space-time continuum. It's a way to hook up. Be here at this time. It just helps with efficiency. But for most people, it defines their life. Don't have enough time, need more time, running out of time. It's a motivating factor and also a stressful factor. It's like it's necessary until it's not necessary. But when we're living in that space of beginning and endings of time, we don't tend to do the truth in those spaces because it's temporal. Just do what's best for now. And where I was going with this is, we make decisions in our field of life based on emotion and based on the illusion that we're not going to live forever. What's the difference? What's it matter anyway? It's all going to go dust to dust anyway. This is not the truth. All that you are will go on in one form or another. All that you have will not. Such a sharp-bladed truth, isn't it? All that you are will go on forever. All that you have will not. Yet how many people make decisions based on what they have instead of what they are? So, my advice to you is, live life like you're going to live forever. Live eternally now. Live eternally now. And if you live eternally now, then it takes away a lot of obstacles to tell the truth. Because eventually, you're going to have an experience with every different form of energy in the entire form of creation. So, you might as well start telling the truth now. Then you'll never have to worry about what you told somebody, because it'll be the same thing you told them. And if you think you're telling somebody one thing and you're telling somebody else another thing, tell everyone the same thing. And then you never have to remember what you told somebody, because it'll be the same thing. And if for some reason that fundamental truth should change, then so be it. But you can't have excuses to not tell the truth. And the big excuse we have is emotions. It's very powerful. Now, the energy I hear coming from the group right now is, well, how do you know it's really the truth and not your opinion? I don't want to just give my opinion. How do I know it's the truth and not my opinion? Okay? Well, where's it coming from? If it's coming from a space of emotion, I can guarantee you it's opinion. If it's coming from a space of reaction, I can guarantee you it's opinion. Because the truth is really going to be the truth. The truth is always going to speak itself in a space of love, compassion, acceptance, and to create a deeper sense of peace through awareness. So the most important thing that I always say when I talk about the truth, especially with somebody who is not coming to me for that, is I'll say, would you like me to share something with you that I think is insightful? Would you like me to share with you a truth that I see in your life that's causing you some suffering? Would you like that? A lot of people will say no. If they say no, then that's in general a relationship that you're going to end up breaking up with. Because you're entering into a deeper relationship with the truth. And they're not in a place to accept that relationship. Neither one is right or wrong, but there's a difference. And when they say yes, then you offer it. And they'll ask you, how do you know? Why did you see this? What did you come up with that? And, tell them the truth. I really don't know. But I become aware of these things, and sometimes they're about myself, and sometimes they're about other people, and when I become aware of it, I feel guided to share, if or when the person is open to it. We are not here to cattle people into some conversion. We are just here to be present. And allow ourselves to be instruments of God. And in that space of unconditional love and acceptance, speak the truth. And I have found, not just in practice, that's different. People come to me with that intention. But I have found in my life that it is such, and this is, if there's one thing that brings emotion, and it is this, that it brings me a little sadness, that it is so rare in this world that people are willing to say the truth. That they are willing to put themselves out there and just say it like it is. That we have become that afraid of it. That we have become that quick to compromise into what makes everyone happy. That we have lost the value in the truth. And the silly part about it is, and it's not just a metaphor, it's not just a saying. Literally, those of you who've come to me have experienced it. The truth does set you free. When you know it and you live it, it sets you free from all the falsities in the world. And I'm telling you this as I stand here. The spoken word of those who are not intuitively grounded will become powerless in this world very soon. Because there will be enough people intuitively in this world awakening that as they look at someone speaking, if they do not see that person speaking from a place of truth, they will know it's a lie. They will not have to listen to what it is. They'll know it. And as there's more and more of this in the world, as the intuitiveness in all of us blossoms and we awaken, it's going to become impossible to lie about anything that you know better about. If you're ignorant, then it's not a lie. It's just ignorance. And that's totally acceptable. If you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about. Everyone doesn't know what they're talking about sometimes. That's different. This is knowingly not speaking something that you know to be the truth. Deceiving or allowing yourself to be deceived. That is going to become, that is already crumbling. And that's why every major organized institution in this world, bar none, is going through an amazing transformation right now. Because the truth is coming. You know, the truth is coming. And the truth has always been there, but it's coming more because we're more conscious. The more conscious you are of the truth, the more responsibility you have to live in alignment with it. That's how enlightenment works. If you're ignorant, you don't know. If you don't know, the universe naturally has a buffer system built in for you that gives you more opportunities to get it before you suffer any serious consequence. If you know, then you know. Once you know, you got to get in line. If you don't know, then you get a chance to fool around a little more. But once you know, you know. And not only are you responsible for knowing it, you're responsible for saying it. You're responsible for being it. If I wasn't being it, I can't be speaking it. That's the difference between what I do. I've got to be it to do it. That's why when I say it over people, it heals them. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what I am in that moment. Get it? Which means if it's only based on that, what am I always trying to do every visit? I'm trying to put myself out of what? Put myself out of business. If it has nothing to do with being in that space, it has nothing to do with me, but only being in that space, living in that space, committed to that truth, who is it possible for this to happen for? Who else can do this?
Okay.
Everybody that's ready to accept that. I've been saying this from the very beginning. This is not the Keith Club. This is a level of alignment and a level of acceptance and peace in which you live your life that allows the truth to come through you, but you have to be it. It can't be just a spoken word. You have to be in that space with life all the time to the best of your ability. And you'll be amazed at what will happen and what will come through you. And I've had a lot of you tell me this, that, you know, you just start saying stuff. Like, I had no idea where it came from. I just started talking and stuff started coming out. I was listening to it. It's like, well, welcome to my day. And it's always a gift to somebody. It's always a gift. Regardless of their emotional reaction to it, it is always a gift. Because God chose you in that moment to bring a space of light to a space of darkness that now they have light on. Maybe the first time they get light on it, maybe they'll need a few more 100,000 times. It doesn't matter. You played that part. And in that space, you open them to less suffering if they allow that truth to set them free as well. So not only is navigating life with emotion inefficient, reactive, and not in the highest good if you know better, okay? But it prolongs the space of human suffering. Because we all just keep feeling, and feeling, and feeling, and feeling, and feeling, and feeling. Versus being a being that might have some feelings still, but being in that space, being there, to where you're not in emotions. And time, emotions are like time. You have to have them until you don't have to have it anymore. So there's no suppression. But I wanted to take another session tonight and really, really bring this to a head with everybody, so you are acutely aware of the fact that most of your life has been driven by emotions, that have been driven by reactions, that have been driven by want or don't want to happen scenarios. Do you know how many people that I've treated over the last 15 years that have been severely abused as children and have suffered their entire life because they didn't want to upset their parents by telling them that this happened? Because how would the family deal with Uncle Johnny once they knew? You think this is uncommon. I'm telling you, it's the norm. And this abuse then feeds into their children. And I see multi-generations of abuse happening. Because someone just didn't say, stop. Forget about how everyone's going to feel. Uncle Johnny shouldn't be doing that. If that means Uncle Johnny isn't a part of the family, then Uncle Johnny isn't a part of the family. So there's a lot of, I'm being passionate about this subject with you and a bit redundant because I want you to all really, really connect with looking at your feelings and then looking at the truth. Does not mean you're not compassionate and kind, but you're honest. You're honest. And that allows you to be in a space with people where you can say, I really understand what you're going through. I can see you're in a lot of depression. I can see you're suffering with a lot of anxiety. And I've told you some very honest things you could do to help yourself. I told you could go see this person or do some meditation or, blah, blah, blah. And obviously you're not in a space to do that right now. So I would rather not talk about this with you anymore. Because it's obviously not a productive space for us to be in. So I would like us to do something fun together, go for a walk, but I don't want our relationship to be consumed with this subject material when it's obvious that you're not really willing to do anything to make it any better. And that's okay. But if our relationship is based on me being in that space with you, then either we need to find a different space to be in or we're not going to have a relationship. Now, if someone you really loved, and they really loved you, had that conversation with you, don't you think that conversation would get you off spot, stuck if you were really there? Wouldn't that really move you into a space of like, wow. Could you hear what I said, how it was truth? It wasn't opinion. It wasn't judgment. I wasn't putting that person down. I was just objectively telling them what had happened in the relationship and that that relationship was not going to be the basis of this relationship going forward. How many people in your life would you have loved to have that conversation with? Or would love to have that conversation with? And I'm telling you, even ending that relationship with that person, them saying, well, you know what, this is just where I'm at, and if you don't like it, then that, it's like, whoa, it wasn't about me not liking it. It was about me saying that it's not a productive avenue for us to be spending time at. But if you take it as me not liking it, okay, and you move on. Because at a certain point, those relationships are abusive. They are using relationships. They are using you to make themselves feel better about something that they are not willing to change or let go of. And you, my friends, in that situation, are a drug. And you walk away feeling crappy, and they walk away feeling better. And that's called being a dumpster. And I know everybody who's in this room has been one several times, or you wouldn't be at this point. But the reason you do it is because your whole life you're told it's the right thing to do. Because this person's hurting. They're in trouble. We're going through a tough time. Well, then you might as well not tell them the truth. I'm okay with listening, but then let's talk about the truth. Let's get past, and as you move past your feelings, you'll be able to get to them and say, okay, now I totally understand that you're upset about the fact that you're getting a divorce, and that must be very difficult, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to go through. But what is the practicality? How are you looking to move forward from this? What are your plans on helping yourself grow? What are your plans on helping yourself become a better, stronger, healthier person? How are we going? Where are we going from here? Because 99% of the time, they haven't even thought about that. They're going to wait until all their feelings are better. Well, when I start feeling better about everything, then I'll move on. Well, good luck, because life has moved on. Life has moved on. So, move on. Move on and have your feelings. Move on. Otherwise they get lost in them. You know it, we've all been there. So there are very, very interesting phenomena that humans have become greatly, greatly dependent on. And I'm telling you, if you listen to me and you continue coming and you'll see yourself moving past these and you become more intuitive, you will be amazed at the different experience you have in life when it isn't based on emotion. And one of the people that's sitting here, I see socially because we go to the same gym. And Sherry has said to me, I'm just at peace. And I'm not trying. I'm just there. I said, well, what else are you going to be when you don't have all these emotions? It's kind of what's left. When all those are gone, you're just peace. And trust me, look around this world and there are a ton of emotional beings. What does this world need more than anything? Peace. It doesn't need more emotion. So be peace. Be one of the people that gives up the addiction of feelings. Be one of the people that gives those up. Be one of the people that steps forward like I have and just is the truth. And still is animated, and still has expression, and still enjoys his life, and still enjoys interaction, but I am not feeding the emotional, chaotic disturbance that causes so much dysfunction in this world anymore. And I understand its purpose. But just because I understand its purpose doesn't mean I need to contribute to its purpose. Because it isn't my purpose anymore. My purpose is not to find enlightenment through emotional feelings. I found as much as I could, but I broke up with them and I moved on. And I'm suggesting that a lot of you break up with a lot of your emotional patterns and just move on. Otherwise, there'll be a bunch of relationships that you just never get out of. And you'll draw people to you that have those emotional patterns to keep working them out until you finally realize that you're done.